This is This is for the first year homeschool mom. So if you are entering into homeschooling for the very first time this year, this summer, this September, this is for you. I recently got a question from Amy. She's in Saskatchewan in Canada, and she said, I have all the fears that I suspect that most moms might have in their early homeschool years. But I also have a sense of peace that has replaced my sense of dread when I sent him to school. Do you have any tips? Do I have any tips? Trick question. Yeah, I have tips, but I have to think back to what it was like in my first homeschool year. I remember the excitement. I knew in my soul that this was the right choice for my homeschool family. I'd already been researching it for 2 years. Yeah, you heard me right. 2 years. So I was convinced it was the right choice. I spent a lot of time deciding on curriculum, and actually, not coincidentally, the book that helped launch a lot of my curriculum choices and my routine choices and was kind of like my guiding principle for my homeschool philosophy for the first couple years is now holding up you and me talking. The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer. And it is replete with ideas for homeschooling, but I would definitely not recommend it in the first homeschool year. You gotta be a brave soul to go down that direction for your first homeschool year, which might be a sign. But I also burned out by the third year, so I have learned that you're not gonna find the right homeschool philosophy. You are gonna have to figure out what the answer is to the S question. When people ask you, what about socialization? You're gonna have to come up with an answer. And hopefully you're going to gain confidence in answering it and truly believe in your soul that this is the right choice for your kids' socialization too, because they're going to ask you a lot. You're going to ask, but what about the academics, or what about the curriculum? And the true answer is there is no right answer to that. There really isn't. You're probably going to do a rite of passage experience where you spend too much money on things and you think that you need to find the exact perfect routine. You won't. And in fact, by the end of the homeschool year, hopefully you'll feel more at ease. It's not a guarantee. It certainly wasn't for me. And I meet a lot of other homeschool parents who really, by the end of the first year, they're probably feeling overwhelmed. Can I hear an amen? Sometimes there's ease, and sometimes there's a sense of this is not working the way that I thought it should be working. So I created a guide. I call it a guidebook for planning your first homeschool year. Really, it is 11 things that I have learned over the course of my almost 2 decades of homeschooling with my 4 kids. The things that are hard-won lessons. And I share those with you. It's a guidebook. You can download it and you can say goodbye and never connect with me again. But I'm going to create an option for you over the course of your first homeschool year where I want to share a love letter with you, an encouraging letter with you each week of the first year. And I mean, I have so many ideas I could share with you, the things that I can go back on my own website, capturingthecharmedlife.com. I started blogging at the beginning of my homeschool years, so I have a lot of thoughts and ideas because of that. But I actually want to use your questions. So if you have a question about what's going on in your homeschool week, or you've been thinking about something that came up because you heard somebody else share it on a Facebook thread or at a local homeschool co-op or whatever, if you've got something brewing that you want to have addressed, that's where I'm going to use my questions. And the letters focus will be from the letters or the ideas and questions that you have. So I'm going to offer that over the course of 52 weeks. And then the other thing is an extra opportunity for homeschool moms, new, probably 0 to 1 homeschool years, unless you're identifying with all the different kind of energy that I'm speaking to right now, and you're like, that's me, and I'm not even out of my second year, or I'm not out of my first year. I don't know. Maybe I'm still in my 5th year. If that's you, then we can chat. I have a support group through the Patreon Homeschool Mama support group. that's designed for all of us. But for the first year homeschool moms, or those that identify as first year homeschool moms, I have a first year homeschool moms support group. And in that support group, we're going to come together and we're going to get to know each other, because if there is any time of our homeschool journeys that we need support more, it's that one. And it's also that time of our homeschools that we are most challenged to find people that we connect with or can walk the journey with. Everything feels really foreign. We aren't sure where we fit in or what we think about all the things. And this will be an authentic place where you can bounce ideas off and get to know people from around the world, because that is where I'm getting to know people, literally from all over the world. And so it's kind of cool that way. Just by that alone, it's a cool opportunity. But we're also going to have monthly workshops that are designed just for you. So we'll take one of the topics and do a deep dive on it to help you become more clear and confident, so that by the end of the first year, you're really feeling more confident. Part of the reason why I'm challenged to go back into my mind and think, what was it like to be in my first homeschool year, is because I've been doing it for so long, and the fears and the things that made me anxious then, or made me wonder, or I felt insecure about, or I didn't want to talk about in front of other people because I wasn't sure what they would think. I don't care anymore. And the reason I don't care is because I've had to talk through things for so long, or had to decide how I was going to engage different things. I really just explored things until I got clear for myself what I thought the best choice was. There's no perfect choice. There isn't one right way. You'll never have it all figured out. Turns out that's not a thing for anyone. If it's a homeschool mom, or if it's, if you're a mom that's not a homeschooler, that's just our rite of passage, recognizing that the intention behind our parenting was never about figuring it all and doing it all right. And I thought it was too, but I don't think it is. But we do want to keep working towards what works best for our family and each of the kids in our home. And we want to figure out, how are we going to do this so we also can serve our needs and the most important people's needs around us. And so if that's you and you're in that first year homeschool year, or you identify as one, then I'm going to say, hey girl, just write guide below and I'll make sure you have access to the guide. And if you're curious about that support group too, then I'll also send you the link for that support group. If you remember what it's like to be in that first homeschool year, and you remember the questions that were going on up here over and over and around, and you're reading this and now you're going there and you're talking to that person, I would love to hear what questions or concerns you had in your first homeschool year. So I'd appreciate it if you could put your thoughts in the comment section and I will respond. All right, I hope you have a really great week and we'll talk to you soon.